Hi and welcome to my channel, The Rocket Scientist, that review classic LEGO space sets from the time period 1978 to 1987. Today we will review the LEGO 6847 Space Dozer. The Space Dozer was released in 1985. It holds 49 bricks and it came with one yellow classic spaceman as seen here. Some extra tools for the minifigures was the Walki-Talki as seen here. He had also a hack attached here and another tool or device hanging here. The dimensions, the length of the dozer was measured to be 105 millimeters or 4.1 inches. The height was measured to be 60 millimeters or 2.4 inches. And the width, it's measured to be 75 millimeters or 3 inches. If I place this on a scale without the gravel bricks here and the minifigure, I measured that weight to be 45 grams or 1.6 ounces. Design. Yeah, first of all, I have decided to give this a score of 6, a full score. I think this is a very wonderful model. It's very interesting in many ways and has some nice features. The design is good. It has this huge scoop that you can tilt up and down. So you can plow the surface of the moon or planet. And you can transport the gravel in this orientation and then move along. There are many details as mentioned. You have this detector type sitting here. It's this video camera type of piece, but here they have attached a green parabola on the end there. So I guess it's some sort of a mineral detector of some sort. Then you have these rubber hoses going on the side there and end up towards some red trans-colored bricks. The purpose of them I don't really know, but it's not headlights, then it should be clear. So, and you have this solid hose going down here to the wheel section, so I don't know what this is meant to be. Maybe some sort of a sensor. Looking inside, we can remove the figure here. Place him here. Oops, that's not good in space. Here you see the instrument panel, the old school type, which came in with the first sets of Lego Space, with a gray background, and a newer one that came, I don't really know, but I think it was towards the mid-80s when this arrived, this type of piece. At the rear part you have these rocket fins in trans-red color. I don't know what they are supposed to represent. You have this structure here. There's no aerial here like the older vehicles often had an aerial or antenna, but here you have just this mast. Looking at the wheelbase, it's very wide, so it's very stable, fairly easy to move along, and you have these very big or wide and fat wheels attached with Technics bricks to hold them in place, and you see there are some Technics bricks underneath here and pieces to hold this together. So it's a nice build. It's a very nice build. Unfortunately, the clearance to the surface here, you see it very clearly here, is not that very high, so it's easy to collide into something when you're playing with it. Yeah. No steering wheel or no levers or joysticks to control the craft. So no craft, I say the rover or dozer. So that's how it is. But yeah, the design is really good, and the minifigure is in all yellow here, color that not that big of a fan of having, but because you have the same color as the face of the man there. So yeah, and you also got these one stud plate pieces to act as a gravel. There are 4 of them, so you can have them in the scoop here and play with that. So that's nice. So yeah, many interesting details here, and so the design I gave it a 6. With respect to playability, I also decided to give this full score of 6. Why? Well, there is so much to do here. You have the hack here, for example. This is a nice thing. So you have this detector here that you can orient in different directions. You have these devices here and control instrument panel, and yeah, there's a lot of things to do with this model to play with. Nostalgic Force, well, unfortunately here I cannot give it too much of a score. I decided to give it a 2. I remember the set, but I was already getting a little too old for Lego Space. I had to grow even older to come back to it. Strange. But yeah, I remember it and never had it either. So I had decided to give it a score of 2. So in total for the toy score from my side, it's 14. Not bad. So, in respect to rocket scientist realism score, is this something that we could build and use if this was a model for that? Well, I think in many ways, yes. I decided to give this a 5. Not a full score, but a 5. There are many pluses, but there are also some negative parts here that needs to be looked into or to be improved on. First of all, what strikes me first is that this vehicle has very good balance. It has low center of gravity, and you have this very wide wheelbase, which makes this very good for in sloped areas like this. If this were going to operate like this, it will not easily turn over or roll over. So that's the positive part, and I would imagine that this would be electrical powered, so you would have an electric motor in each of these wheels, and you will have full 4x4 wheel traction. And but that said, you have low clearance. You see it also here. There's hardly anything, and especially here at the rear here, if you're going reversing or forward, and if you have some rocks there, you would collide and it would squeeze in between this beam here, and you will have trouble. So this should have been raised further up and have increased this clearance here. There's no headlamps, so I would assume that a needed thing to have and operating in pitch black areas. So here I don't see any evidence of that. Neither do I see any blinking lamp. It could be one on top here. Why do they have these twin rocket fin sections behind here? I simply don't know. It could be that these are some cooling of some machinery that is involved in the system here, that you need some cooling fins maybe, but looks a little strange to have such devices here. There are no wheel arches here to protect the vehicle and its passenger and instruments maybe from dust contamination, but if you roll kind of slowly, it will not matter that much. But to be efficient for such type of machine, you need to have some speed of movement. So I think this would need some sort of wheel arches here to protect. The nice thing with this is that you can tilt it up and down, and you can have it in this way, and then you can be in transport mode and transport your dirt or whatever to the location where you want to dump it. But when you try to dump it, you see that it's not easy to dump it naturally all out of the scoop here. So if it was doing that over a kind of a cliff, then you see it can be tilted further down. Then it will be possible to empty completely. So I think this could be solved if this were going just to operate on a flat, fairly flat terrain. You needed to have increased the height, so it had some ability to come further down. So a total score then for this is 19, which is quite good of a score. I must say I like this set a lot. It's really nice, a lot to do here, and you have a lot of interesting details on this, and it looks kind of right and feel kind of right when you handle it. Let's have a brief look on the instruction. I have it here, and it's in quite good conditions, and you have some holes here, but otherwise it's quite good. And you start building the astronaut, and then you have start with a chassis of or the beams for holding the wheels, and you see you are using these Technics Lego bricks here to assemble that. So that's nice. It's a nice fun thing to do if you as a kid is unfamiliar with Technics. So this is a light first introduction to that. And then you have to connect the scoop, so you have a hinge here. And on 4 you have the instrument panels there and the mast, and yeah. Go through the different stages here, and then you end up at step 8 with ready to operate. Yeah. So really nice little set with a lot of playability and a good design. So that's all for now, and thank you for watching. If you have any comments, please do not hesitate to provide them. And if you like my channels, please consider subscribing as well. That's all for now. Thank you and bye bye.